It absolutely blew my mind, the amount of reach and scale that we were able to accomplish just through the marketplace. When you look at, there's 7 million or more and growing active users in just Azure Marketplace alone. Those become your captive audience for your solutions.
We believe this time is like no other. We refer to these as the tectonic shifts.
All the hyperscalers in the world, if you add them all together, managed services will be 1.5 times larger.
Because it is the customer buying behavior that has created the need for all of us to rethink our models.
Until we have data quality, the effectiveness of AI cannot be realized, and effectiveness of the partnerships cannot be realized.
Can you figure out first what your purpose is and how Microsoft can support your purpose and how you can support Microsoft purpose? Now we have a partnership. It's the ultimate partnership.
Welcome to, or welcome back to the Ultimate Guide to Partnering. I'm Vince Menzione, your host, and my mission is to help leaders like you achieve your greatest results through successful partnering. On February 20th of 2025, a small group of industry leaders converged here in Boca Raton, Florida, in this very studio, for Ultimate Partners Winter Retreat. What followed was an incredible discourse on the tectonic shifts and the rapid change we're all seeing as partners. If you weren't able to join us in person or on the live stream, we're bringing this incredible session to you here. This is my gift to you. All I ask in return is that you tell your friends, subscribe, consider joining the Ultimate Partner community, and hopefully joining us in the future at an Ultimate Partner event. I hope these sessions provide you the learnings you need to continue to achieve your greatest results. And now, here to this amazing session.
But my first question I'm going to ask is, Dux and Dexter both, is the marketplace hype for real? And then within that, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit more about what you guys have been doing in Marketplace, and we'll continue to dive in from there. So Dux, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit more about AvePoint, and then is this Marketplace hype for real?
Sure, well, thank you. Hey everybody, my name is Dux Sy. I serve as a Chief Brand Officer at AvePoint. We're the global leader in data security, governance, and resilience, and we've been in business over 20 years. And these days, we're so stoked about the channel. As Janet mentioned, we're all in 100%. We're helping a lot of our partners build new businesses around AI, making sure their customers' data are secure as they journey through this new world of transformation. So is the hype real? Absolutely. Now, we're in the early stages, and I can answer that multiple ways, but I'm going to highlight 3 things why I think the hype is real. Number one, if you have large customers specific to the Microsoft world, so a lot of these customers have what's called Mac. And what we're seeing for a lot of our large customers, they want to draw on their Mac, and it just helps our deal cycle to go through much faster. So that's number one. If you're an enterprise, Azure Marketplace, for us, it's real. Second, beyond the Microsoft Marketplace, there's tons of marketplaces out there. That's how really we scale and go to market with our channel business. We're in over 100 marketplaces around the world, and that's one of our top strategies to grow our business in the channel ecosystem. And number 3, that's the reality of the world. Looking forward into the future, you can only hire so many sellers in your organization. You can hire so many PDMs and channel leaders. You need automation, you need technology, you need a better way to distribute. So I think that's why the hype is real.
So Dexter, I'll kind of come to you with the same question. I know you've been on this journey for a little bit of time now. You've got kind of a little different business model that you've built and you're building. For you, is the marketplace hype for real? And then tell us a little bit more about Integral.
So glad to be here. Dexter Hardy, President and CTO at Integral Inc. Simply put, we help you move to the cloud. We started out as an SI, so doing a lot of the application development, migrations, things of that nature. The small thing called COVID happened, or you may have heard about it in the news. But what we did was we focused on what was our superpower, what did we do really well, and we created cloud solution accelerators, putting them in the marketplace, Azure Marketplace specifically. And what we saw, and this is answering a long-winded way of saying, it's not hype. It is actually a real thing that allows you to grow. We went from being a small regional organization to the first year of being on the Azure Marketplace, we were in 44 countries. By the following year, we were in over 100 countries, and that's continuing to grow to this day. So I think the first thing that people need to really focus on if you're leveraging marketplaces are what is the value proposition of your software and or solution? Second, what is the experience? I heard a lot of conversation about AI and the agents and what it's going to do and how is it going to impact us. Well, people don't buy an iPhone because it has a feature list. They buy it for an experience. And so I think the marketplace is going to amplify experiences by buyers.
Well, I would just chime in and say from representing the hyperscalers that it's absolutely for real. And I think if you think about why it's for real, it's really for real because of all the things that Jay just laid out for the next 10 to 20 years, right? And so for all of the hyperscalers to participate in the AI evolution, microtransactions, consumption-based services, we all have to build these mega data centers and we have to have people in there using them. And the path to get there is to get more software development companies building on our platform. And you can't get software development companies to build on a platform if you don't have a way for them to sell today. So it is absolutely for real. Wherever you're at on that adoption curve, it's going to happen, right? So I think the next thing, when I think about the hype about Marketplace, we often talk about the promise of Marketplace. And there's a couple things when you think about Marketplace and what it does for you as a software development company or a channel partner, there are a couple things we often kind of refer to. And one, I'll go back to the Marketplace promise of kind of expansion and reach of customers. Dux, from your perspective, has that promise kind of been true for you, the reach and expansion with Cloud Marketplace?
Absolutely. So at AvePoint, we're a 20-year-old company, and we started our business, frankly, doing the hard things first. We went after the enterprise business. We built a global platform, and we're in 17 countries. That's what we did first. And then, frankly, we're playing catch-up on channel. We realized and recognized that channel is the way of our future, and through the marketplaces, that's how we're growing so fast. We're doubling down on channel, we're committed to it, and not just from making sure that we get new partners, but we also get feedback. We are building new technology specific to the channel ecosystem, and we're going to deploy it through marketplaces as well.
Another thing about this conversation is that it is a little bit unfair because I do know all of your marketplace data, right? And so this question about expansion and reach, Dexter, give us, I mean, your numbers are off the charts with that. So give us a little bit of your perspective about marketplace and your ability to reach new customers and grow.
Okay, so he has a back channel to see our statistics, but like I said before, it absolutely blew my mind the amount of reach and scale that we were able to accomplish just through the marketplace. When you look at, there's 7 million or more and growing active users in just Azure Marketplace alone. Those become your captive audience for your solutions. A lot of companies are missing out on those eyes and those buyers, but the marketplace is a 24-hour sales guy that's like ready to transact whenever your customer wants to transact. Add on top of that, research from Gartner, tech buyers now want to buy digitally. They don't want to necessarily get out on the phone and just go through the traditional sales cycle. That comes second now. Like if they want to engage with you in a deeper way, well, can you get your foot in the door first? And the marketplace opens that door up for you. So for us, like I said, over 18,000, I think, or so customers. We have, over 100 million Azure consumption hours on our solutions and growing. I think that is the opportunity where you see we're adding value, you're changing the experience, and for us, it's an absolute amazing ride.
Okay, so another marketplace promise that you often hear from everyone in this space is that, and Dux, you kind of alluded to this with the Mac component, but it's that deals move faster and deals are larger in cloud marketplaces. I'd love to get your perspective on that particular marketplace promise. Are they faster, or deal velocity, and are they larger deals?
So maybe before I answer that question, Jason wasn't expecting this. For the benefit of the audience, maybe some folks may not be familiar with Mac, especially folks watching as well. So
Yeah.
the official definition of MAC.
Yeah, well, Microsoft Azure consumption commitment, but in reality, all the hyperscalers have some type of cloud consumption commitment that a customer can make. So you have the EDP or the PPA with AWS, you have the CUD with GCP. And you know, if you think about modern procurement and those new millennial buyers, they probably know those acronyms today because that's how they're thinking about purchasing cloud software, right? So customers that have this cloud consumption commitment, and in many cases, they have the ability to draw down that commitment when they purchase, let's call them eligible applications through a cloud marketplace.
Very good. So to answer your question, yes and no. Yes, in our enterprise customers. So a lot of our enterprise customers, big companies, they have a lot of these commitments. And what we're finding is not only that it makes it faster, sometimes makes the deal size bigger for us. Because in the past, let's say they want to procure a lot of solutions from us, but they're like, you know, based on budget, phase 1, phase 2, in the next 2 years. Whereas, you know what, we could do them both and draw it from our MAC commitment. So on the enterprise level, absolutely, makes it faster, makes it better for us. But then if we go down to the SMC space, for example, it's still growing because in some cases, the flexibility of the Azure Marketplace is still not on par with the other marketplaces for smaller organizations.
Dexter, same question to you, and then I'll kind of respond to that.
Okay. So what we see is, well, first of all, we would be considered a startup because no one would have known our brand. No one knew who we were. So what we did was we used the marketplace, one, to spread out and grow our brand. I worked in marketing, supporting marketing agencies. We focused on the marketplace as a groundswell opportunity. So what we did was the marketplace has so many people out there. We lowered our barrier to entry, and the marketplace gives you that easy transaction to kind of acquire and build out your brand. And now what we're focused on is deepening those relationships through a channel and through additional, deepening that relationship with the customer, going in, cross-selling, doing different things, talking about AI readiness, et cetera. So that's where different approach, same outcome is really just expanding your reach, and we were able to do that in the marketplace. 2, deepening that relationship, and then going into co-sale, going into bigger, more tangible sales within those organizations.
Yeah. So I think, Dux, especially on your point around cloud commitment, from my purview, there's no doubt, right, that marketplace deals in some ways are larger. Granted, now, so Microsoft, we don't know what those deals look like off marketplace, right? But what I do see is a lot of upfront annual payments or a lot of upfront deals, right? So what used to be a 3-year term is now turned into a 1-year upfront, right? We see that a lot because that customer is trying to manage that cloud commitment that they have. We're going to talk a little bit later about integrating channel into that. And I think one of the things that the channel does really well is that the channel helps a customer with that procurement journey. And we see channel partners that have just amazing kind of cloud estate practices, right, where they help the customer make those purchases. But I do see larger deals. I would say from a velocity perspective, it's absolutely true as well, at least from what we see from the minute a deal enters the pipe to the minute it closes. A lot of times we find out about those deals like 3 days before the end of the month, right, and which might not be typical off-marketplace experience. So I think those 2 marketplace promise topics are kind of have positive answers, but I have another one that I don't know where you're going to go with this one. So one of the promises of cloud marketplaces is this idea of it lowers the cost of goods sold for the software development company, right? So, all these promises of automation and scale and those types of things. But when you think about your journey and conversion to selling through cloud marketplace, have you really seen your costs go down? Have you seen fewer people? Have you seen the deal cycle get easier? And you know what? I'm going to change. I'll go to Dexter to start this one and let you finish, Dux.
Okay, well, absolutely for us. We focused on the automation first, so leveraging AI, having a small team that can punch way above our weight with regard to being able to deliver. Our solutions are out there. Again, you have this 24-hour salesperson that's pushing that out. Our cost of goods sold are not increasing relative to the amount of expansion and growth that we're seeing in our organization. And that's really been a powerful thing for us.
So for us, not yet. So for us, the velocity is faster. And I think this is where we're different because a lot of our marketplace transactions are private offers. So the idea is we've done the work, we pitch, we sold, and we create this private offer for transactional purposes. So a lot of the back end is still the same, but what it does help is just the velocity.
Okay. So I would say my perspective on this particular marketplace promise has a lot to do with who you are and where you're coming from. So in Dexter, your situation, you're more of a startup, right? And I know your business, you have lots of different SKUs, but I think more the startups that I talk to, like the ones that come out of the Microsoft ISV Success Program, where they're born in the marketplace. We used to term them born in the cloud, right? But they're kind of born in the marketplace. They've designed their entire sales motion around it, and maybe they have 1, 2 simple SKUs, right? That's it. And I think they see that as a lower cost of goods sold opportunity. When I talk to the big guys, the household names, the NetApps, the Palo Altos of the world, that's not the case, right? They have hundreds of SKUs, hundreds of agreements. They've got everything they do as a custom private offer deal. And so I don't think they're realizing, just like you, much like you, Dux, the lower cost of goods sold promise of cloud marketplace today. So let's move forward, kind of building off that COGS conversation into shift of your sales force, right? And I think you both have an interesting perspective on this. Dexter, let's start with you again as well, because I think you shifted from a different business model, right?
Absolutely.
What's the shift of Salesforce look like for you with Cloud Marketplace?
So again, Cloud Marketplace, we are digital first. We didn't even want to have a representative out trying to sell our product first because we were changing from an SI to an ISV. This was a new model. Obviously, we want to prove it out, but the proof is in the pudding. To use a Southern term, we are benefiting from that 24/7. It's right there in your face. It's click to add. You download the product or deploy the product to the cloud, and it moves. Like our time of our customer acquisitions, 300 to 400 downloads a week. Like customers are quickly able to acquire and move with our solution. So for us, we wanted to go there first, and then what we add on that, which was brought out another section, is customer sat. Like we make sure we follow up, and then that's where we do our cross sale or deepen that relationship, and then do co-sell from that perspective.
So what about you, Dux? Shifting that sales force that you already had in place for 20 years.
That's right. So we're in this great transition. So I would say marketplace and frankly all these new cloud models is a catalyst for us. So as we've said publicly, we're really pushing to shift our business to be very channel focused. Not to say we're going to forego our current sales organizations, because we still have a lot of great customers around the world that are enterprise level that our sales teams would need to focus on. But what's happening today, even a lot of our enterprise sellers, they recognize the value of the marketplace because it can accelerate deal velocity. So that's one. But then knowing that the future for our organization is really support a lot of our partners, the understanding and also the value our organization putting on marketplaces is continuing to grow. So I can see eventually there's going to be a huge shift, regardless if it's our direct sellers or our channel team. But we're in that transition phase right now.
So what do you think's the bigger leap for your direct sellers? Is it the leap to understand marketplace transaction model, or is it the leap to selling better through channel?
I think, are you asking which one would come first?
Yeah.
I think it's actually both happening at the same time, because a lot of them are seeing the value today. Like, for example, a lot of our top customers are big Microsoft customers. So they're seeing, wait a minute, my sales cycle is much faster if I go through the marketplace. So everybody's excited about that. But then at the same time, on the channel side, this myth that channel is for mid-market and SMB, it's not quite true anymore. Because even there's a lot of channel partners working with enterprise customers. So that's very attractive for our direct sellers too.
So let's move forward to another question. And I think, especially at Ultimate Partner, we use the term co-sell a lot, right? And I think especially at Microsoft, co-sell can both be a noun and a verb, right? So the verb is going out and selling jointly with everybody in this room. The noun is the program, right? So you guys have both participated in co-sell, the noun or the program, for several years. And today in the Microsoft world, this is a very Microsoft specific cloud marketplace question, but co-sell is marketplace, right? You can't do one without the other. I'd love to get, Dexter, we'll start with you. I'd love to get your perspective on what co-sell and marketplace is changing in your business, good and bad.
Okay. So I think, just speaking from our journey, you have to be at a certain level of sales within an organization to even think about co-selling. And a lot of people miss out on, are people buying your product now? Well, then co-selling is not going to work for you, right? So you have to have a certain level of critical mass that you've been able to obtain within your organization, and then you activate that part of selling. So that's the first thing that I would say. Is it good or bad? I think it's great, because now you have the ability to amplify and get those relationships built deeper across organizations where you may only be in one business unit now. Now you have an enterprise agreement. So I think, combining the MAC, telling the story that you have this critical mass within your organization. Hey, company, we're over here. You're using us. You can pay down your MAC. You have don't go in the store and pay cash. You have a coupon. That's what a MAC is. I always tell people that. It's like, you have a Publix coupon, go with the coupon, don't go spend cash, right? So just making that awareness for your customers so that they understand the value of your solution and how they can leverage that to save potential dollars.
I haven't seen those Sunday paper coupons in a long time. It's all digital.
It's all digital.
Yeah.
So Dux, I mean, AvePoint's been a co-sell partner of Microsoft for years, right? What's your experience been as you've shifted to this model, and as the Microsoft sellers that you've known for decades, right, have shifted it to the new co-sell model?
I think it's great. I think, first of all, right, speaking of the Mac again, and again, not to belabor my point, it increases the velocity, because with co-sell marketplaces, customers, they just want to draw from their Mac. That's number one. From our Microsoft counterparts, it hits their ACR. And they would walk us in because they know, oh, your solutions are in the marketplace. It's going to help me. It's going to help you. The third part, it just broadens our sphere of influence as AvePoint. And while we may be a larger ISV since we've been around 20 years compared to others, but there's a big market out there. There's a lot of customers out there that don't know us, and they see us, and we can take advantage of it.
So I think I would echo both of you. I think the interesting part about co-sell is, in the marketplace world, is that it does have clear and accountable alignment to seller compensation, right? So that has changed a lot of the relationships. I think the other thing, and I've talked about this at Ultimate Partner before, is it's moved the cheese for a lot of traditional Microsoft partners. Especially those that are not software development companies, that are more systems integrators, GSIs, MSPs, VARs, those types of partners, whatever acronym you want to throw on them, that have always struggled to have a relationship with Microsoft because they were a VMware reseller, a Cisco reseller, and Microsoft wasn't top of their line card. Now those channel partners are selling massive ISV deals through Marketplace, and they're bumping out some of the more traditional Microsoft partners that were there at the table because they had relationships. And I think that's an interesting trend that's only going to continue as we see this marketplace momentum go on.
I want to add to that, and that's, I think, where the future promise is, right? It's this better together partner-to-partner story. It's the ability to do multi-partner offers, and that's a lot of the things we're working on today, and what really gives us that good combination, be it an ISV, SI, and MSP. So I think that's where there's a lot of room for growth in that aspect.
So let's just jump into that topic right now. Dux, you're trying to really flex this channel muscle. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing with multi-party private offer and embedding channel in your sales.
Sure. So we work with a lot of different partners in different shapes and sizes, and the team has done a phenomenal job with putting together multi-partner offers. Some of them we may be behind the scenes that the partner is just going forth. So a very specific example. So we talk about AI. We all know that the holdup of AI is not because of AI, but because of poor data. Right? And you can see all these reports, Copilot, pilot stays there. It's just a pilot. And the challenge is not because of Copilot, but the data estate's not ready. You have 40-year-old TPS reports that's sitting there, right? Oversharing is a problem. So all these things, right? So what we're working with a lot of our partners today is, hey, this is an opportunity. If you do services around migration or cloud protection, introduce a new service around AI data security. And let's put it together in the marketplace as a multi-partner offer so people can click, hey, I want AI data readiness or Copilot confidence, whatever you want to package it as. So those are some of the things we're working on, and it's really exciting because it's introducing a new line of service for our partners to expand their business in.
So, Dexter, you and I chatted about your channel strategy, right? And when I look at your marketplace business that I would say today, I'll just say it's not very channel heavy. Right. And it's super attractive marketplace business to me, right? So my question was, why are you going to go down that path? So I'd love to know more about what you're thinking about how you're going to grow utilizing channels and marketplaces together.
Right. So the first thing that we focus on again is, do we have and are we adding value? With our huge span of customers and the amount of usage that we're getting on it, that answers hands down, yes. So now what we look at as a channel partner, our solutions help SIs do their job. That's what we cut our teeth on. That's what we were. And so that's how we started as an organization. So now it's just getting the word out to other SIs. We can help you reduce your costs and be more profitable by leveraging our solutions. So selling through the channel becomes the opportunity through a multi-party private offer, through that channel relationship to say, hey, we're not competing with you, big 5-3, whichever consultings you are now, right now, right? So we're looking to partner with you, one, to give you more profitability, margin. You look at margins, you can say, hey, this is how we get here faster. Two, that ACR that you're looking to get to become a better version of the partner program, because there is a KPI that you need to get. You get that because now we're sharing, and now that becomes part of your KPI as well. The third piece is, well, it's a big pie, right? Even if we're talking about trillions of dollars. The law of large numbers, we multiply any percentage times $1 trillion, that's a large number, right? So that's how we look at holistically growing that market. And so instead of having just one line of business or one way to go to market, channel adds another growth opportunity for us, and also partnering through the MPO. Yeah.
So I think there are probably some software development companies that have tuned into this, or even in the room today, that are still thinking, or still really early on their particular journey, right? Yep. And I think one of the things that, if you're in that case, you might have some questions about the utilization of a public offer versus a private offer, right? And we refer to public or private offer as a custom deal. Mm-hmm. And I know both of you have different perspectives on that, or different levels of success. Dexter, let's start with you. Public offer and private offer. Your business has been very good, which is public offer,
We are
right?
public all the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I say we start public all the way. Again, that barrier to entry, customers don't know your name. You got to build your brand. You got to build your momentum. You get out there. You're acquiring customers. 33 government agencies. Over 160 countries, and now you can then build on that second layer, right? Which is the private offer. You can say, hey, XYZ customer, we see you're using all of these solutions. It would make sense to do this private offer with us, as opposed to, we don't have a name, we don't have a brand. We come in with our salesperson and we're saying, hey, come do business with us. No, you don't even have the credibility to do that. But now, because we've taken that groundswell approach, we've gone out, we've built out our brand using public offers. Now we can then step into that next tier.
So Dux, from your perspective, it sounds to me like you're mostly all custom deals.
Today, correct. So a lot of our deals, because it's the nature of deal size, a lot of them are very large, and we have custom private offers. But long term, we want to build our muscle in the public offering, and especially a lot of the new solutions we're coming out with.
Yeah, I think my perspective is, I'll say in the Microsoft commercial marketplace, if you think about revenue-wise, definitely private offer is king, right? And it's 17 times larger than public offer deals on the whole. But what you do see is ISVs or software development companies that do have your story, Dexter. And again, back to the way I kind of framed you up, when I see that, they're mostly those that started in cloud marketplace, right? And they've been that way forever. I think we're still in this phase. I know early majority, that we're there, but we're still in this phase where I think customers come to the marketplace to buy, not to shop still. And if you think about the ones that are really coming here, they're coming to draw down their cloud commitment from some hyperscaler, and they know kind of what they're looking for in most cases. And I think even with you, Dexter, they know what, I mean, because the solutions you sell are really unique, right? If I'm looking for Ubuntu or something like that, I'm going to find that. I'm not just coming out to the marketplace and say, oh, who has something I could buy today, right? I don't think we're there yet. I think in the future, when we get more further down the path that Jay kind of outlined today with microservices and that type of thing, I think there'll be more of that shopping. But the most successful ISVs today are really wrapping around that custom story, or they have, I would say you have very clear and unique offers in the marketplace, Dexter. Yep. So there's a lot of work here that you guys have put in to get into cloud marketplaces, 100 marketplaces for you, Dux, and in Dexter. I'm sure, let's just ask right now, what's your strategy around multi-cloud? Dexter, we'll start with you.
So I'm a huge proponent of doing one thing really well first and then expanding on it. So Microsoft partner, we focus on Microsoft. We're doing that really well. Our customers are in AWS and GCP. So we're moving out into those ecosystems based on what we see our customers, where we see our customers. So that way we're able to give them a full picture of how we can support them. If they chose us over here, they know that they're going to do the same quality across every cloud. So that's our approach, is just not that we're saying, hey, let's just go out and shotgun approach, just kind of go everywhere. But no, it's a systematic. We're doing this really well here. Our customers are there, and so we're following our customers.
Dux, how are you handling them?
So for us, I think the driver for us to invest in marketplaces is not necessarily direct customers. So when we started this journey, this is way before Microsoft Marketplaces, is we were committed to growing the channel. And we know a lot of our partners transact through marketplaces. So that's how our marketplace journey started. However, through time, especially through AppSource, anybody remember AppSource? Or
It still exists.
Azure Marketplace, right? Did I just say, do they remember? Okay. But through Azure Marketplace, we have a lot of large customers really transacting there. So that's our direct side. So we look at it two-prong approach, right? We scaled fast because we want to make sure we want to meet our channel partners where they are. But then now, as customers are really buying and transacting the marketplace, we're also serving them in these marketplaces as well. Right. Multi-cloud, absolutely. That's part of our growth strategy as well.
So another question for maybe those that are early in their journey with cloud marketplaces, especially if you're a software development company. And I think today we have this ecosystem that continues to evolve. That we at Microsoft, I think we've thrown a title on them that a lot of the other hyperscalers have as well. We're calling them the enablers, right? So one of those keynote sponsors here at UPL is Sugar. You got Tackle, WeTransact, Klazar, WorkSpan. Every day I get a new email from another enabler. I don't think either one of you used an enabler yet, but you both have different opinions. And Dux, I'll start with you, and then Dexter, you can kind of give us your opinion on the enablers. Like, where do they play for you, and where don't they?
Correct. So I think what the enablers are doing for marketplaces are fantastic. And I think when we started our journey, and maybe a lot of them didn't exist yet, we had to figure this out. So we thought, boy, we're in this business for 20 years. We figured out how to grow direct, working with large customers, government agencies. We can figure this out, which we kind of did, and we're doing today. But it's work, right? We have a whole team doing all the different pieces that needs to be done in marketplaces. Whereas I can see for, let's say you're a startup, you want to scale, you want to interact with different marketplaces, and you don't have that team, I think enablers are fantastic partners to work with.
So, Dexter, what's your take on the enabler ecosystem?
So we personally do not use enablers. And again, that was our choice. From a startup perspective, price point being a barrier, you need to, as a startup, you have so many other barriers in front of you. If technology is your strong suit, which was ours, a lot of it we kind of understood. So we leverage our own internal knowledge to go to market and take that step. So if it's not your superpower, obviously the enablers are going to get you there quicker, faster, and so you can, justify that cost. But for us, it was a scenario where, okay, we already understand how to deploy to the cloud. We understand what the rubric is. So why add that additional cost to our additional stack, right? So for us, we chose to go net new on our own, and so that's allowed us to kind of build faster, quicker, because we don't have to integrate with something else. We automated that, and we do use Copilot. We're creating our own agents as well. So, like I said, we're leveraging technology to deliver technology.
Yeah, I'd say, from my perspective, I think a couple things. I think, again, I mentioned the larger, more historical household names, security and data providers. Definitely, when they have a legacy business and they're bringing it over and they have, hundreds of SKUs, makes a lot of sense. I think the next evolution of that whole group will be the additional value they provide, right? So, everything from, like we talked earlier about just the effort to put together private offers and the effort to do that with a channel partner and those types of things. The effort to track that business, Dexter, when you go multi-cloud, maybe that'll push you over the edge, right? So I think there's that ecosystem will continue to evolve a little bit. So, we wanted to save about 10 minutes for some questions. I'm going to just ask you, for some parting thoughts for the audience. Like, what would you like the audience to take away about your journey that might help them out? And Dexter, I'll start with you.
Okay. Well, as an entrepreneur, founder of a business, obviously you have to take calculated risk, and emphasis on the risk side, because the market is changing. What used to seem steady is changing rapidly. AI is just making that faster. So, have confidence in what you're doing. Focus on being 1% better. Do one thing really well, and you will be just fine.
Dux, what would
For
you
me, three quick things, right? Number one, who's your audience? Who's your market? Are you selling direct? Are you selling, or you want to do partner to partner? So once you're clear of that, then you decide which marketplace you want to go to. I agree with Dexter, right? Focus. At the very least, go with the top 3 hyperscalers. And if your solutions would support those audiences in the 3 marketplaces, or 4, go for it. And then last but not the least, as you build that muscle, then think of scaling through channel.
Right. Yeah. Good. So we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's open it up to some Q&A. I know there's microphones, and we already Cloud Marketplace. We have them stacked up.
Yes, yes. So first of all, I want to say this was a really great contrasting conversation, the 2 different parts of having success in the marketplace. So absolutely amazing. I've got kind of a 2-part question. Because I think it's really important for a lot of ISVs to hear this experience, and I'll start with AvePoint because it's something I'm familiar with. I procured AvePoint back in 2018, 2019, brought it into a big bank. It was purchased through Kaizen, which was a partner of your all's. Microsoft brought in. Great experience. So I can see the benefit, and I can hear everything that you're doing is exactly what ISVs need to be targeting in terms of co-sell. So congratulations on that. I love to hear all the progress that you guys are making. My question for you is, it's something that I run into all the time with companies, is we hear these ISVs just say, our product is just our product. It'll never be anything other than custom. We're always just going to do private offers. They just dismiss the frictionless type experience that you can get in a marketplace, like what you're seeing with Dexter. And so, it's one of those things you hear repeatedly. And I see AvePoint, you're having a whole lot of success with co-sell. But what type of obstacles are you up against in terms of getting the alignment inside the organization to actually start working towards PLG motions that are going to enable you the way that Dexter is? Because you've got that, contrast where a startup is born in the marketplace, natively deployable. You've got that experience. And then you've got more legacy systems that are extremely customizable and rely on private offers and yet stay away from growing towards that trajectory. So I'm curious from your standpoint, what are those obstacles? How are you bringing that to light inside the organization to make that change?
Yep.
And then my second question, so I'll tee you up, Dexter, is what is it that you're seeing with the click to deploy type mechanisms, the public offering that you offer? What is it that you're seeing that's creating the most success for you? Because I think it's really important, the experience that customers have. It's not just about finding your product, it's being able to be easy to use, try, then buy. So I'm curious, what has been successful for you?
What's your name, sir?
Justin Murphy.
Justin, thank you. I love your glasses.
Oh, thank you. I like your suit.
Okay. So, fantastic question. And maybe let me preface it with this. I think what I love about it, I've been here 12 years, and I think this is like the best year I've been here with all these changes and the growth. So AvePoint started, and I share this, and I'm not, I'm shamelessly plugging this, but I think AvePoint is the only ISP, started with 2 people, building the first SharePoint migration solution in 2002 in a public library in New Jersey. Fast forward today, that went public. We went public on the backs of Microsoft, so thank you, Microsoft. And the reason why is AvePoint is a very entrepreneurial organization. Now, we start our business with the enterprise. Like, enterprise is the hardest nut to crack. And we cracked it, and we're continuing to do well. That's great. And we realized, though, to scale and to grow, we got to do channel. We got to hit those, what folks with the SMC audience, but we can't do it. We can't hire enough people to do it because we got to focus on the enterprise. And from a change perspective, pivoting, I would say we're pretty up for that. As Dexter mentioned, risk, we love risk, right? When Microsoft back in 2010 announced, hey, we're going to go full BPOS. If you don't know what that is, you weren't born yet. This is the granddaddy of 365. And they reach out to us and say, hey, we're going to go full on the cloud, but we need partners like you to build on the cloud. We said, yes, we'll do it. And then when they shifted to subscription, we did it. That was a big jump because back then everybody was like, what are you smoking? Subscription? Ha ha ha. Nobody's going to pay monthly, right? And then this idea of scaling our platform globally, we've done it. So we've done all the hard work. And a few years ago, we realized we got to invest heavily in the channel, in which we have. So certainly we started and say, hey, partners, we're in the marketplace. Here's our solution. Enterprise-grade solution now available to SMC. Great. But we didn't stop there. We listened. Partners like, this is great, but we have a lot of partners, and it's so manual. We need multi-tenant management. We need workspace governance. We need, risk monitoring. We need like a full NOC so we can see all the different clouds environment. And we built it. So we have a fantastic partner-specific platform called Elements Platform, and we just bought a company a few months ago to integrate with that. And we're going to continue to grow and invest and double down in it. So to your point, right? Yeah, today, at least in the Microsoft Marketplace, we have a lot of private offers because we still have a lot of those big customers we work with that they want to draw from Mac. But at the same time, from a growth standpoint, we're really going to invest a lot in our channel, not just from a selling motion, but innovation as well. So our partners, not only can they sell more and grow their business, but they can run their businesses better. So our greatest challenge really is just time. It's really, because unlike maybe other organizations like you mentioned, how did you convince your internal leadership? It's reverse for us. We don't have to convince internal leadership. You talk about, Vince talked about growth mindset. We live and breathe it. Like, great idea, go do it, right? If you fail, it's okay. You learn from it, but let's move on. So really our greatest thing we're fighting with is just time. It's like there's just not enough time. But other than that, I think it's a wonderful time to be a partner in this ecosystem. There's so much to do. Hopefully that answers your question, Justin.
So I'll start with a little bit of a quote. If we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And I say that from a standpoint of being an engineer. When you're out creating software or building anything, right? You're thinking about features, functionality. Turn that lens and say, what is the experience? Our solutions are set up to help DevOps teams who someone they read an article and they're like, oh, we need to implement this technology. And now that DevOps team is like, oh my what? We're doing what? And how long do we have? No, our solutions help them with their life experience. Like you click to deploy, like you go in, you need to deploy this, 5 minutes later it's in the cloud. We're on to the next thing. Okay, we can do those things, right? You're improving their experience. So that's what we started to look at from an ISV perspective, is not just software, but what are you doing to improve the quality of the people's lives that would use your software? And that's, like I said, we were SIs, we did that. So we knew, oh my God, people are going to be raving about this, right? And then the market proved that out. So I would say focus on, just change the lens. If you're looking at click to deploy or whatever it is you're trying to evaluate, it could be, rocket science, which with ChatGPT and all of the AI tools out there can be really made simple within your solutions. You just have to change the lens. Don't just do technology for technology. Do it for the improvement of quality, improvement within life experience, and getting your constituents' time back. So,
Next question.
So I know we've been talking a lot about software products in the marketplaces. How do services sides of marketplaces work? And I'm sure it's different for each of the hyperscalers, right? But like, can I, as a services provider, say, oh, here's a 50K POC, it's all gonna be custom built, right? And then like we sell it through the marketplace, it retires Mac? Does that work,
Well,
or
yeah.
is it only for software?
can I jump in on this?
Yeah.
If you
Okay.
talk to me afterwards, you can partner with an ISV and do a multi-party private offer that's transactable in the marketplace. So,
Including the services,
So,
right?
Yes.
no, so
Yes.
let me just make, in the Microsoft Commercial Marketplace.
in the Microsoft.
You can now, in the Microsoft Commercial Marketplace in the US, Canada, and the United Kingdom, you can now sell a professional services private offer. Proof of concept, 50K proof of concept, great idea. Workshop,
Training.
managed service contract, training. The only thing you can't do is the time materials contract within there, right? Your question though, no, it does not decrement the Mac. Yeah, so software sales are the only thing that decrement the Mac in the Microsoft Commercial Marketplace. Now, all the hyperscalers have professional services capabilities, and they all have different, models in which those may or may not decrement cloud consumption. But I think the rule of thumb for professional services providers, or if you're a pure play SI, it's all about cloud consumption. And you can look at most recent AWS announcements, you can look at our earnings report, you can look at all those things. It is about driving cloud consumption of our first party products. So software is king. And so that will always get that's always going to be at the top of the list. And I think you'll realize that we continue to provide features to allow professional services in ways that we think pull software, right? So that's the way I would think about it. If you are a pure play SI, which there are a lot of those that have yet to, like I was mentioned earlier, the traditional SIs at Microsoft that have yet to adopt Marketplace, the reason why you do it really isn't because you want to become a transactor, although some do, because it is pretty easy money in some ways. The reason why you do it is you want to keep or build relationships with Microsoft Field. That's the reason why you go down the Marketplace path, if that's the business you're in. But from a pro serve perspective, yes, you can do it, but software will be king.
So then is the buyer buying that private offer and that bundle because they're getting to retire the Mac on the software side? And then like the partnership that we would strike within the ecosystem is more like, hey, we can accelerate your journey, right? The customer's journey buying your software with our services. So then we bundle that together into a private offer. Customer says, oh, like Mac drawdown is going to be 10K, but then I need to create new outlay for 50K for the POC, right? Like it feels, so when I reconcile that with some of the things we heard earlier today, right? Like $7 for every dollar that goes to cloud consumption. It sounds like, at least with your setup at Mac, right? Like the drawdown is only for the dollar. The $7 is like new money from the customer.
You remember that's $7 of net new revenue that's attached to that transaction, right? So that could be $7 of product sales, $7 of your services. It's the whole pie. So if you think about the most typical pros in the Microsoft Commercial Marketplace today, the most typical pro serve engagement is, I'm going to use some names just to make it up, because earlier I think Jay mentioned Palo, so let's use Palo. So you're a system integrator and you do a great job of implementing Palo Next Gen Firewall or NFWS or whatever they call it today. So you go to the customer has a Mac, they want to buy Palo Firewall, but you're going to do a $100,000 implementation. You would say, I'm going to sell you a Palo Alto multi-party private offer for the firewall for $1 million, let's say, and I'm going to sell you my professional services private offer to do the implementation. It's a $100K fixed bid deal, right? So Palo's going to send you a private offer for the firewall. You're going to mark it up. You're going to send it over to the customer. So you're going to make some margin on what Palo just sent you. When the customer clicks buy on that offer in their Azure portal, that $1 million decrements their Mac, right? When you also send, in parallel, you will send over your private offer through Partner Center into their Azure portal. And when they click buy on that $100,000 offer, it does not decrement their Mac, but it does end up on their Azure invoice. So the value to that millennial buyer now is they only had to go into the Azure portal and click, 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 and they've bought all that. The invoice is only going to be one invoice from Microsoft. It's going to come with all their other stuff. Also, they probably maybe got around some procurement things, right? Because they just went in, did it through the portal with the existing agreement, so it's a little easier on them. So that's kind of where they didn't get the Mac decrement, but it is a better story for them overall.
And sorry, just to follow up there. So does the Microsoft
Two separate
seller?
offers, but it ends up on one invoice. Yeah, sorry.
So Microsoft seller doesn't get comp on services.
Plenty of time for asking questions when we,
Okay.
we're gonna have a lunch break. I want to make sure, so I have to ask one
We
more.
have rowdy questions in the front.
I know, I love it. So one more question, because we had somebody on the chat, and I
that's
want to be
awesome, yeah.
respectful of the fact of the chat, and then we are going to take a break for lunch for 15 minutes. So Manic Rain from NetApp, you probably know. Question for you, Jason. Can you speak to Microsoft's recently announced SME&C org specifically? What changes is Microsoft planning to make with regard to channel partners and marketplaces? Loaded question.
So, Manic, probably we can set up a call to talk about that.
Okay.
If you're still tuned in. I can't speak to that today. That was, Microsoft ecosystem, that was recent. So we work in months, quarters, and fiscals. So we haven't got to that point yet. So, yeah. Thanks for the question.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for joining this episode of Ultimate Guide to Partnering. And if you haven't done so already, mark your calendars. Ultimate Partner Live Spring is coming to Redmond, Washington on May 1st and 2nd. This is going to be an incredible event. Like each of our Ultimate Partner events, this one is going to be just a little bit better than the one before. We're having incredible leaders from Microsoft, industry leaders talking about co-selling, marketplaces, aligning to Microsoft priorities, and more. You don't want to miss this event. Sign up today before seats run out.